Hello everybody and welcome back to PGL Spring Tavern Tales. My name is Nimsh and I'm here with Raven and Lothar to bring you this amazing tournament back from Bucharest, Romania. Raven, who do we have next?
Yeah, so we've got Thijs coming up next versus GameKing. So two pretty well-known players, actually. Thijs, obviously, super well-known, whereas GameKing, maybe not quite as popular and got quite as many tournament wins or anything like that, but definitely well-known within the scene, at least within the player base.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's
Lothar?
playing Forfeit to Kalmar, so one of the best German teams, actually, right? Known in the community. He had a slight mishap during the preliminaries, right? Because he wasn't allowed to play because of the problems with his Battle.net having a different name than his own. And that was practically kicking him out before even starting playing. So I'm sure that he will be looking here for redemption to, just have something for instead of that tournament.
Yeah, definitely like a tough break for him because he does take this game quite seriously. Really good deck builder as well. He's I don't know if you guys have played it much, but he built one of the more recent Aggro Paladin variants, which actually was performing really well for a time.
Not the egg one.
Not the egg one.
Okay.
Just Aggro Paladin with no secrets.
But
good deck.
before we jump into the game, we actually have something for you guys, for the Twitch chat, for our viewers, because we have an interesting raffle. We are raffling Lothar's shirt.
No.
Wait, no, I was misinformed. We are actually raffling a match versus Lothar. So Lothar will play a show match versus one of you who will take part in a raffle. So how you can take in a raffle, I actually don't know, but there are instructions in the Twitch chat. So I'm sure there will be an explanation. So if you want to play versus Lothar will be playing live just behind us with his pretty competitive decks, I would have to say.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. We were just going over them, so we were just making sure they were top tier decks.
Top tier decks.
And we'll be casting it as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I will be making sure that we will have something fun to cast. So
That's all we want, Lothar.
yeah, I just hope I will not encounter a face shaman 3 times in a
lose
row.
3-0.
Yeah, it's like-
You've just told everyone what to play now.
oh my god! I even lost my headphones. Yeah.
So, all right. So I know, guys, you have to just type raffle in the Twitch chat, exclamation mark raffle. I'm sure you already are doing it, and I'll
Even
be doing
before it started.
Yeah, everybody's
exclamation
like,
mark raffle.
it always happens, right? Somebody mentions
Yeah.
raffle, and like even randomly, there's no raffle going on, and people still are doing
It's
it.
always worth doing it, though.
Yeah.
Just in case.
And this time it will actually work.
Yeah. I
Okay.
might do it myself, actually. Just quickly open up Twitch.
And you get raffled out, and we have to both go there, and then Nimsh will be solo casting it.
I can manage it. I'll ask Thijs to help me. By the way, Thijs, European champion. He's here again. He qualified, and he is also the winner of DreamHack Bucharest. I don't remember which one, but I think the second one. And he got really close after
that was the second one.
2015, yeah. And
Because
then
Gara was on brink of winning back-to-back.
2014. Gara was 2014, 2015, Thijs, I think. And then he got in the final of the DreamHack Winter, losing only to Colento.
Yeah.
So really impressive overall. And again, he qualified for this event. He wasn't invited.
There were no invites.
No
here.
invites, yeah.
Just to clear it up for
Obviously.
the new viewers. There are no invites for qualifiers were made online before the event tournament started, and now we have 32 players here battling it out in 5 rounds of Swiss.
Yeah, and I think for Thijs as well, it's crazy just to, with the whole change of the rules where invites aren't allowed for anything that offers the points, he just continues to show how good he is and how consistent he is. I mean, we all knew it anyway, but to continue to battle through these open brackets and come out on top and qualify, it is really crazy.
Yeah, it only shows his skills and that he's just not getting lucky. He's one of the top players at the moment on the top of his Hearthstone career. And looking at those decks, interesting. So he brought this Zoo with Argent Squire. This is a more aggressive variant. Lothar, what can you tell us about this?
Well, the Ardent Squire is really a great pick against other aggressive decks. It's good in Mirror. It shines with cards like, an example, Abusive Sergeants. Every single buff that can be used with that, apart from PO, of course, it just shines with Divine Shield. And not exactly sure how it will pair out against the GameKing's Priest, because Priest can abuse Zero by a huge margin with Aukenai, Circle, an example. The Holy Novas are maybe not that powerful against Zoo in general, but they are needed to win it anyway. But look at that
God.
opener, Zombie Chow to double Death Lords.
Yeah, I wanted to say, like, Zoo is probably the matchup the Priest is aiming for. Like, you bring Priest to the tournament because you want to face Zoo, you want to defeat Zoo.
Yeah, because one of the issues as well is that Zoo doesn't have or normally run too many silences and any ways to deal with big minions. So like having 2 Death Lords from the start is crazy because Thijs will literally have to just punch his way through 2 Death Lords, and then the odds on the Death Lord dropping out just a small, not insignificant, but a small minion for the Zoo, it's actually pretty high. So even the negative part of the Death Lord card isn't going to be too terrible versus Zoo most of the time.
Like even if
it's
the
very
silence
true.
it's still at 2-8.
Yeah, the silence is not a great option to do to actually be cast against the Death Lord, because as you said, you need to deal the same damage. The taunt is not a problem because you aim to kill that as soon as possible anyway. You don't want to see a Valence Chosen being played on that. You don't want to see Power Ward Shields or just even the hero power being used on it multiple times, right? So you need to burst down the Death Lord as soon as possible. And unfortunately for Zoo, there are only a few targets from the Death Lord that can benefit the Death Rattles. So let's say
Sea Giant.
Doomguard. I don't think Sea Giant is being played in Thijs' version.
Yeah, with Brown probably not, but overall, it was just the first thing that came to my mind with the current versions.
Corruption is actually awesome.
Yeah, so Corruption's not always a pick you want, but definitely against Priest.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome that Thijs knows the matchup, right? He knows that there might be Death Lord, probably will be a Death Lord in this matchup being played. So he takes the Corruption and will be a huge swing next turn. Unless Priest will get a silence and will silence the Corruption.
Yeah, but then like he will have to use the silence. I'm not sure that silence is that played in Priest. Overall, if Thijs gets something like a Doomguard, as you mentioned, that would be a huge swing anyway. So Corruption was definitely a great pick for Thijs. Is there a reason to not silence it, instead of doing Corruption? Because if Corruption...
I don't think so. I think the Corruption's fine because it means you don't have to put too much onto the board. I think the question is what he does with this Corruption along with. So I actually quite like the tap here because playing Argent Squire just doesn't really do anything, on the board. You may as well draw the additional card, keep your hand full because later on, every time you tap, then you're getting closer to lethal. So I really like this. Just tap, draw the card, see what comes out of the Death Lord, and then go from there.
So Corruption does trigger at the start of a Warlock's turn, right?
Yeah.
And that means he will not be able to use the minion unless it has a charge.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine if a Doomguard came out.
Yeah, that Doomguard, right?
So crazy.
It just has to come out at this point.
Well, let's see what will be the drop.
What would be the worst minion to come out?
You mean like worst?
That probably.
Well, Argent Squire probably, but Defender Vargas, 2-3 minion, not bad. You can kill the Zombie Chow, so that's fine. But I guess the bigger target here is the Pyromancer, because if it swings out of control, that's a problem.
Yeah, like sort of repetitive board clears against Zoo is what will really, dismantle the deck. There is a Holy Nova available, which seems pretty okay, actually. Would you just Holy Nova trade and call it a day there?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely
it's awesome.
Correct play there. I really like the thing about Thijs overall is that he's so flexible with the decks he can play. Like I recently casted Thijs playing Rhinolog. He was playing Handlocks before, and now he's playing Zoo. So whatever the deck is, he can play if he feels like it's good for the metagame.
Now let's see what will be Thijs doing this turn, because it seems like the Knife Juggler might be the play here. Even though if he misses with the first juggle, he will just play Abusive Surgeon for no real effect, just for the juggle, right? Because it feels so good to just have that chance to kill the Zombie Chow, to heal yourself to 30 so you can tap more.
What's crazy here is like Lotheb looks like a pretty good play. It looks okay, right?
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
No. Because it doesn't really lock too much out in the form of spells, but also because Volt Jim would have just insta-killed it along with the Zombie Chow, so...
Wait, I didn't understand that, actually. Why did Thijs...
Go for silence?
go for the silence first instead of the Argent Squire?
Because he will have to. He really wanted to play RMB Gal to extend the number of minions and damage that he has on board.
Okay, so he was planning not to tap anyway.
Yeah. He was planning
Okay,
just to have
that
minions.
was the reason. Yes.
But then the silence was even good playing silence there. If you'd go for abusive, as you mentioned, he'll have the same amount of power on board, more or less. It's just not floating mana.
I think the good thing here is because Thijs has Bran in hand, like Bran Abusive is one of those combos that makes Zoo so good, because the trade-up potential Zoo has is just ridiculous, especially with a card like Argent Squire on board that can survive that trade as well. So I like this here. We probably are going to see the Bran and Abusive.
Yeah, actually, the more I think about it, the better it was. Where on turn 6 you would expect Cabal Shadow Priest, so something like Argent Square will be stolen, and then you have that Bran Abusive to kill the Cabal Shadow Priest without many losses.
An awesome play, to be honest. Yeah. And now the Abusive Sergeant with the Bran is actually a third PO without any downside.
Yep, and I think it's actually just exact damage to kill the Deathlord.
If he gets the knife, well, he can.
He doesn't need the knife, does he?
He can attack with the Knife Juggler, but if he doesn't want to attack with the Knife Juggler.
And it lands, so it will go on the Juggler, right?
7, 8, 9. Yeah,
Yeah.
now he can attack with the Owl and still keep the 1/1 shielded.
Now just hopes that there will be no Cabal Shadow Priest to take the Bran back. Ooh.
That's a bad thing to get, I guess.
Yeah. That's one of the wars, actually.
Yeah. Just because the effect from Dark Peddler is so big in Warlocked, but one of the things here is, like, even if Cabal Shadow Priest came out, he still has a good selection of minions on the board, and he's got plenty of follow-up. Defender of Argus, Creeper, Lothar, and obviously Doomguard probably later on, but he's got plenty of options, so it's not in a bad position at all for Thijs.
Yeah, I think Thijs is in a great position because GameKing is actually missing AoEs. He got a Shadow Okanai, so he will be able to maybe clear the board if he gets Circle of Healing, but without it, he just has to play minions to be able to counter this board somehow.
Yeah, and the worrying thing here now is that GameKing will want to try and remove Bran off the board because it's such a threat, but there's never, like, at the moment we can see there's no great opportunity. I think Entombing Bran might be a bit too much to commit to, but as a second Abusive gets drawn, and there's, like, Bran Defender of Argus, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, Bran Defender of Argus and Abusive on top of that.
Yeah.
You can get this Squire to actually kill the 4/5 without problem at all.
Yeah. I think you might actually just throw away the 2/1 to play a bit around Light Bomb. So you can Argus onto the Bran and the Squire, and then just buff the 2/1 with the Abusive, and then you just have the 2 minions that are buffed with a Divine Shield, and Bran doesn't die to Light Bomb.
And doesn't get stolen.
Exactly. And then, you leave the 2/2, but sure, when you look at the rest of the board, you're probably pretty okay with that.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome for Thijs. How do you come back from this as a priest?
Well, there's still an option of Aukenai Circle.
Yeah, I think we might even see Entomb go down on Bran now.
Zombie Chow, now they could draw.
Yeah, the Zombie Chow doesn't matter at this point. It might deal damage to face, but Thijs is too far away.
Yeah, the Entomb will definitely have to be played this turn.
I think it almost has to, right? There's just
Yeah.
way too much damage with the potential of even more in the deck.
And with the Doomguard discarding 4 cards, that is just too big of a swing, right? But when you think about it, Lotep adding 10 mana
It just
on
blocks
spells
everything.
is like, okay, I guess I'm not playing anything apart from Circle of Healing.
Well, there was still like a possible
You could just play it just to be like, I'm still going to play a spell.
possible Dark Iron Dwarf was also a
Yes.
damage boost.
And this is the problem. When this is how Zoo wins, right? It builds the board up, makes it awkward to deal with, and then it continues to draw into either cards that allow it to trade up or cards that power forward for the win.
Wow. Now, and this is another comeback card, right? After your opponent will sweep clean the board, you can just play Implosion and get the board right back.
And this means that the game is almost over here. I don't see a way to come back, really. Even Circle of Healing is being blocked. It will be for 5 mana at least with Lothab. So it seems like the Priest is going to die. And because it's last hero standing, Thijs will just stay with the Zoo deck.
Yeah, and the rest of the matchups is a Warrior and Paladin. So it doesn't look good for GameKing, actually. Because the Zoo might be awesome against Warrior. It all depends if the Warrior gets the weapons in the opening hand. If he gets the Fairy War Axe and the Death Spot.
Which warrior are we talking about, though?
whatever warrior.
Patron is versus Zoo is fine, I think. You have a lot of removal for the early drops. It's not like weapon, obviously. Like if you get the weapon, you're in a great shape. But you can still get something like a slam, or you have whirlwinds to deal with implosion. So warrior had like Patron has ways to deal with the Zoo early game. And then if you get the patrons out, Zoo cannot do anything. Mostly if there is no board.
Yeah, I think. I think getting one of the two weapons at least to start with is going to be pretty big. Because again, having the weapons is fine, but if the Zoo gets a head start where you can only say Despite turn 4 with no removal, then unless you're going to follow that up with a big patron board, then even doing that and killing a couple of minions off won't be enough, as Zoo just stacks on the pressure even more.
But I do agree with Contra Warrior matchup. That's exactly what happens. If there is no weapon, it's just over. And even if there is weapons, Zoo still has ways to come back and win the game with those minions like Lothab and Doomguard in the end. But it's not like a lost matchup. Even if it's Patron, I would say it's maybe 55% in favor of Patron.
Yeah, I think it's just really swingy, isn't it? Like, it's definitely reliant on the opening hand, I think.
Yeah.
If the Zoo gets a quick start, then, they always appreciate that. But really just rely on the Despite and just any sort of interaction. Even like a Frothing Berserker that can be difficult for Zoo to actually deal with, Vault. And it's a card that they can't ignore, which is why the card's so good in itself. You can just play it and be like, if you don't kill it, I'm going to hit you very hard next turn.
Yeah, and the Paladin, on the other hand, you said it's a good matchup for Zoo, and I absolutely agree with that.
It can just deny the Paladin what it values the most, so board control, right?
Yeah.
Because Zoo has more minions than the Paladin, because he has more 1-drops, more 2-drops, so you can flood the board more easily and doesn't depend on one card, which is Masterful Battle, right? Because that's the best tool to play on curve. And we'll see how that goes, because right now GameKing is queuing up the Paladin.
Yeah, so it's either Contra Warrior on his side, or he feels like he has a better chance to steal it with the Paladin, or he wants to keep the Warrior for some other matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, though, because if GameKing loses this match, then he has his Warrior to try and 3-0 Thijs with, which I think with Thijs' lineup is going to be pretty tough.
We don't know what Warrior is Thijs playing.
Not yet. We didn't see it.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, but Warlock versus Paladin. So Zoo versus Secret. Was that a Secret Paladin? Yeah, this is a Secret Paladin.
The good old competitive spirit turn 1.
Really good opening.
Yeah, Avenger's going to be really good here, though, mainly because there's the Creeper on the board. So I imagine, depending on what Thijs comes out with, like you would probably naturally favor the Creeper, but maybe you just value the power from the mini-bot instead, and then go into Creeper and comp Spirit for turn 3, as those things sort of work together as well.
This is super nice. Argent Squire, Void Walker into Direwolf Alpha if he goes for it. If there is something like a shielded mini-bot, you can deal with it easily. Most of the things you actually kill.
Yeah, Thijs has got all the options in the world here, especially just getting the egg down as well is pretty good. And a secret drawn from GameKing is not what he wants to see. He has his turn 2 and probably his turn 3 locked in already, but still, you kind of want to start drawing to those Shredder, Belcher challengers pretty quickly now.
Yeah, Hunter Creeper was an obvious play right there.
I don't think you pop it. There's, like, if it's Avenge, then you put your opponent in a position when he actually has multiple minions. And we know that Thijs is playing a Silence in his deck, so he might get to draw it in the upcoming turns, so you can benefit from cancelling the effect of Avenge. And even if it's competitive spirit, a 2/3 minion doesn't make a difference. It still can't go through the Void Walker. The only difference will be here a Masterful Battle. But then if it's Masterful Battle, then you have multiple minions to deal with the 1/1s. So that's not a problem. So I really like that. Just play on curve and deal damage to the face.
Absolutely, just apply the pressure there. Okay, so now shielded mini-bot in one of the secrets. He cannot do much here about this Void Walker. The question, Raven, do you think you attack with this Hunter Creeper to have more minions on board for a possible competitive spirit?
It's a tough one, yeah. I think if you attack, they can get traded into by all the minions on the board anyway. So
but there's Avenge, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a tough one. I mean, it's hard because you're gonna get you're probably gonna get an Avenge either way, right? But Thijs is in such a good position that he might just choose to just ignore his opponent's minions, so maybe the attack could be worth to sort of force some board interaction as opposed to just saying, well, you still need both of those minions to get through Voidwalker, so I'll just push again and just pressure for even more damage, play the Imp Gang Boss and follow up from there. So I actually like attacking just because it represents the threat of a competitive spirit actually doing some work.
True. I mean, Thijs will probably know. He will have a 50-50 after making the first attack, right? Because he will know if it's Noble Sacrifice. If it's not, then it might be Competitive Spirit. And yeah, then he's narrowing down the options by a lot. Well, it seems like the M-King boss is the best play, right? But first you have to figure it out. How do I check for the secrets?
Yeah, I think if you can check for them, you do, because it's not like he's not going to bother attacking regardless. The Avenge going on the 5-4 with Divine Shield isn't fantastic for Thijs.
Isn't fantastic, but then you kill the 1-1 with your 2-2, and you still have the huge taunt in the way.
Huge 2-2 taunt.
Yeah. So
it still does the same job, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it gives you time, and you're the one racing. You're the one doing damage here. Yeah, that's even better. Or is it?
To be honest, I wouldn't like that, because if
Master.
your opponent does top deck the Master, then it's kind of sad, right, to see that happening. To see that happen, and you lose your Imp Gang Boss to the attack.
There is no consecration.
Well, Palted Shredder, kill the 2-1, go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is this turn taking so long? Yeah, and this is, like, again, just as you said, like, really good benefit of the Minibot taking the Avenge there, because there's no good way to deal with this 2-1, so 6 attacks worth of Divine Shielded Minibot. He's going to go into just hitting 1 health, which, must feel pretty damn good for Thijs.
Yeah, overall it feels good because Thijs has tempo advantage for now. PO can easily deal with the 6-5.
But will you use it? You have 2 eggs.
Yeah, so maybe just go for both eggs and just go face. Continue racing.
Well, the Direwolf Alpha has a huge target on its head, right? It's like a bounty for the Paladin. You need to kill it ASAP. And I guess you can just play eggs on the both sides of the minions. Ignore... Okay, not ignore that, because you need to kill that totem right now. But your opponent will be... will have to dedicate his attack with the 6-5 minion to the Direwolf Alpha, which is not ideal, right?
Yeah.
And then you can just use the egg and PO next turn to kill it off.
Yeah, he is going to go to clear the Minibot though, so probably deems it too much of a threat, and maybe with the chance for Sludge Belcher next turn where he can hide behind, maybe it's like, you know what, I'm taking this off the board while I can. It sucks that the totem's still alive, but you can still go for it. He does also get 1 egg down, so that's pretty good, as his next turn's probably going to be Lotheb, because if he just played 2 eggs, then the PO would, if it came down next turn, then the Lotheb isn't getting played, so just freeing up his mana for that. And this totem is now going to do some work.
Yeah, and also Repentance for possible Lotheb. Or just any 5-drop that can show up. If there's a Doomguard coming, so GameKing knows that he's playing around those things.
Yeah, and there's almost no reason not to play the Repentance there, because there are no like key turns in Zoo. It's not like you can Repentance ready for turn 8 against Paladin and stop block the Tyrion. Whereas that was fine, and it does get played, and now we'll see if Thijs actually chooses to play around Repentance or just slam in.
Well, he's thinking about it right now, because he was counting which secrets were played, and now he's playing around Repentance by playing the egg.
And this is nice because you can get a PO from
from
the Dark Peddler, run the egg in.
It's such a huge swing.
Oh.
Nope.
Sir Finley though.
Sir Finley? I don't think
No, I'm not saying he should pick that.
No, you need Carter, especially if you're at 30.
The Bloodsail Courser is not that bad either.
Yeah.
He's checking the board. 3 of those picks are actually okayish. The easiest one is of course the Flamer, because it's a big minion on its own. Finlay will allow you to use hero power to draw a card next turn, and then use another hero power to, an example, use a Paladin hero power or Rogue hero power to build up more control. And the Bloodsail Courser is reactive. This is something probably you don't want to have in your hand, but it has some value against the Paladin.
Yep.
Yeah, but still I think Flamer was the biggest out of them.
I think because he had 1 mana to spare, and he could just drop it this turn, I thought, like, you throw the power on the board, and because board control for both these decks is everything. It's win or lose on the board. So yeah, I kind of like it. It's an abusive. Oh my god, that's pretty good.
Yeah, really good abuse.
Exact mana to drop Lothar as well. So this is he can remove the 3/2 off the board.
Does he know the secret? What's the secret?
The secret's Noble Sacrifice, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So he will have to probably, lose his imp as well. But when you're leaving one egg on the board, putting a 4/4 and a 5/5 with the Lothar effect, I think you're probably not too upset with that.
There's something even more sweet overall for Thijs. Paladin has no cards.
Yep. Divine Favor will not rescue him. One thing I would like to talk here about is why did Thijs use the Abusive Session on the 0/2 egg instead of the 0/1? Because
Possible Knife Juggler.
okay, that's one of the reasons, but you are not playing around. Nah, never mind. It will require like 3 cards for the Paladins, so yeah. Not gonna happen this game.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically Knife Juggler.
Nope. Speaking of which,
Knife Juggler can hit the egg and pop it, and that will be...
and also there's no way that Thijs doesn't actually want this egg proc. In this matchup specifically, he's not really playing around AoE that much because Paladins normally run like maybe 1 Consecrate, if any.
Yeah.
And he's so far ahead, it's like, oh, and there we go. There's the 1 snipe that was needed. So there's another 4/4 to deal with, and this is just getting progressively worse for GameKing.
2 4/3 minions. Well, this is actually 14 damage, half of the Paladin's life, so it all depends on what kind of draws you get. Well, you need to kill the Knife Juggler.
Yeah, exactly. It's not over yet. GameKing can still get the Mysterious Challenger, which will be a big drop on board, and then he's far from dying even the next turn, even though there's a lot of damage.
Thing is, well, because Thijs is on no cards, like Doomguard's even better, right? We've not seen any yet. And if he top decks a Doomguard into tap and then another minion, then this game could end very, very quickly.
Well, at least you can clear up the low tap here. But it's not looking good for the Paladin. He needs a Dr. Boom or Tyrion next
He
turn.
needed it this turn actually even, because Master for Battle was able to clear Lothar but didn't do much. So Thijs is in a great position overall. Next,
See.
Hot Creeper is not much, but it's something.
Well,
Dr. One.
Dr. Voodoo, what I'm talking about.
The new name.
You just cued me into that. You tricked
Dr.
me into
One.
that.
I'm sorry, Lothar.
Dr. One.
Young Priest is not bad either, but the Voodoo Doctor is actually doing the same work but twice, the same turn, right? Because you can attack to a 1/1 in the example with one of the 4/3s and then heal it up twice.
Yeah, but you're the aggressor, that's why
You and
need
your
a flavor.
crazy plays, Lothar.
That just, the game
Just gotta think
just
about these things, right?
plays itself, so...
Wow, and Avenge. You can see it on GameKing's face there. He's like, this guy's probably not going to trade next turn.
Yeah, not trading into my minions.
He's going to somehow mind games Thijs so hard that he doesn't win next turn. I'd be impressed.
Thijs
We
good.
saw 4 Flame Imps or 3?
3 at least.
3 at least,
Three,
right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite a lot.
So can we say that was a flaming victory for Thijs?
We can definitely say that, Nims.
Perfect.
You've not been as on point with these today, and I need you to do better, to be honest.
Just
Okay.
to put
Well, not better, more.
More.
That's what I'm asking
I'll
for.
do my
more.
best. I'll do my best.
to put our viewers in some perspective or context, this is the game where one of those players will be advancing to top 16 already after this victory, because they are both 2-0 in the tournament, and to advance to day 2 to the top 16 and win some cash already, which is $500 for the top 16, they need one more game win. Basically.
Absolutely, because 3-0 is enough. Even if you lose the next 2 in the five rounds.
Probably. I'm not sure because I would have to.
We
do
have
the math,
32. Yeah, but like most probably with 32 players to get to top 16, 3-2 should be enough. And obviously they start with 3-0, so it's not like the given that they'll actually lose the 2 last next matches, being in top form today.
Yeah, but also remember, this is the game where a player will go through, but I have no doubts that whoever does will continue to try and go for 5-0 or something. Because even though, as you said earlier, all the guys here are really good, there's no question about that, but you definitely want to go in with 5-0 and just get the highest seed and then continue from there.
Yeah.
There's one problem. When you're going XO undefeated in Swiss, then usually there's a curse on that player, and he is losing the cut. He's losing the first match after the cut, and he's out of the tournament, which is kind of sad. So, yeah.
I do agree with you, Lothar. Like in WoW TCG mostly, and in Magic, we've seen that players who are undefeated
lot
on day
of
one,
time,
they
yeah.
do just lose next day.
And it's like, oh my god, I just played 13 games in Swiss and I had a perfect record, but then it's single elimination top 8 and I'm just like, oh.
I'm surprised
Yeah.
you've even risked jinxing that, considering Thijs is one of the games where one of the players we're actually casting now. So
Well, I'm just talking about the possibilities. It can
Okay.
happen to anyone.
okay.
Well, they're both in great shape overall today with 2-0 score, but GameKing is in trouble at the moment, playing versus Thijs, just destroying all his decks with Zoo. But now I'm really curious about this Warrior. Is that a contra Warrior because he killed Paladin, which was a bad matchup?
Well, we'll see. We'll have to see because that's the last deck for GameKing. I guess it probably is the control version because we already saw who was playing it before? Moody
was
was
playing
playing
Control
Control
Warrior.
Warriors, so maybe making
Oh,
some
it's
complete-
Patron.
It is
it's
Patron, though.
Never mind. So
Yeah, it's
I'm
good.
really interested. Why didn't he queue it up before then?
Probably lineup-wise, like maybe he had a decision that he wanted to save this deck for something else. But yeah, Patron, we talked about it a bit. If Patron has weapons, it's a really good matchup. If it doesn't have weapons, it still can have some removal to deal with Zoo. In this situation, that's what I want if I play Patron versus Zoo.
Yeah, you just need that early removal, and actually having Fiery War Axe, Frothing, Deathbite is pretty huge for GameKing here. So he's definitely got off to a pretty good start, and then he just needs to, for him, hopefully draw into the Patron turn for turn 5 because he already has that Deathbite. He just needs to lock in the other cards to because once he gets Patrons on the board against Zoo, there's almost nothing they can do about it because you just trade everything and continue to build your board.
Absolutely. Like even with those weapons and the frauding, maybe there will be an opportunity for him to just win with the frauding, killing everything that's being played and attacking phase a couple of times to put your opponent in the range of Grommash or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't even mind the coin Fire War Axe here, because although you're not necessarily going to do anything turn 2, you can Battle Rage for 1 since he has 2 in hand, but also what this does is make it very likely that you can clear the board next turn to then play Frothing on an empty board, which is actually really powerful because Zoo just can't really deal with that unless the following turn they Implosion for 4 or something, which
Will gonna happen. Will gonna happen. You're gonna see. Oh, the Patron already is being drawn. This is a huge thing because it changes the dynamic of how the warrior can be playing this game.
That's not only everything. Like Thijs is actually missing turn 3. He only has the Knife Juggler. He decided to tap here because he had nothing as a follow-up against that weapon, and he still doesn't have anything. So he might just need to slam the Juggler or just tap again to maybe draw a 4-drop that can survive this. Whoops. That's a really bad start. Fireworks not even needed to be used.
Yeah, now we're going to see if he decides to go for the implosion or not. I mean, it's really tough because it's one of those things where it can really pay off, or it can just cause more problems. Because if you implosion for like 2, and then the whirlwind, then suddenly the Frothing Berserker's putting on a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but I like how GameKing attacked with the weapon, basically saying to Thijs, well, I have the Depth Bite, but at the same time being effective with his cards, and I like that a lot because he won't have an option to play anything else until
you called it.
I called it.
Oh my
I
god.
did call it. So that's one of the swings that I really dislike in this game. Well, it's a 33% to maybe get a win, just solely based on that turn, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good not only because he killed Frothing and got those imps. Normally they will just die to the whirlwind effect, but there is a defender of Argus that can stop the Deathbite from being super effective.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting how Thijs chooses to approach this turn because, as you said, the imps normally just die. But what he has to still think about is patrons. So if he played, say, Lotheb, then GameKing could have just put 2 patrons on the board with the weapon. And even 2 patrons against Zoo is pretty good when they've got nothing else on board straight into. So the Argus really heads up play, just making this as awkward as possible for GameKing.
And it also has a psychological impact because GameKing is 0-2 at the moment, and then he sees Implosion for 4. And Lothar, how does this affect the player at that level?
It goes into full tilt. I mean,
100%
100% tilt, especially if you're German. So, well, never mind, he's Austrian. But it's a huge problem when you see that kind of outcomes, especially that you have like no influence on that, right?
Yeah.
You're just being punished by a roll, so kind of sucks. Especially when you're on brink of advancing to the day 2, right? You just need to win this match, but it's slipping through your fingers.
Yeah, and then this is a really interesting one. There's some sort of, if we rewind the game a little bit to game 2, to turn 2, there was 2 battle rages in hand, and if it was me, whether this is right or wrong, I probably would have just battle rage turn 2 to draw one, because he didn't have too much, and now he's sort of suffering from that a little bit and having to battle rage twice this turn just to cycle, because patrons wouldn't have done anything that turn. Attack and execute just isn't good enough.
By the way, I love how Thijs used the PO last turn just to get the damage already done. Because there's no advantage of using that PO on minions, usually, right? Because you will have hard time removing the patrons anyway. But if you deal enough damage just from the minions to the opponent's face, you pressure him to a point where there's no point of return for the warrior, right?
Yeah,
He's
you can't
dealing
spend
too
a
much
turn
damage.
just making patrons and go,
Yeah.
well, next turn I'll win, because you're dead.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
yeah, I agree. I thought it was really good. And the thing is as well, he used an imp that if the warrior attacked, would have died anyway, right? So
Yeah,
you may as well just
exactly.
use it to push for damage, pressure your opponent. Because he's on 14. I mean, the Warlock is on 16, but
It's
as we can
over.
see, the board's a little bit one-sided.
Yeah, it's absolutely over at the moment. So I don't see anything that GameKing can do to come back. If he attacks with the weapon and uses the execute on Lothab, he's taking 2, goes down to 12, and there is at least 7, 11. Yeah, there is enough damage with the abusive and PO. Like, we know this is enough, but GameKing doesn't know it yet, so he has to
It's
make the best play.
8 damage from the hand for 5 mana. If you have a minion.
Yeah, with Brown as well.
This is tough. Are we actually just going to see a 6-mana execute on Lothab here?
Most likely. Oh, wait.
Just
Well, that's the same exact
Yeah,
amount of damage, but you
one
want
way
to
or the
save
other.
that whirlwind for patrons.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense to execute.
Yeah, but then obviously Thijs is enough to win this.
Yeah, he has Bran, Abusive, the other PO.
Well, that was quick, right? 3-0.
I heard Zoo's a good deck.
Yeah, but we do have one more match lined up, because if this happens, we have a second match going on. But first, obviously, we'll interview Thijs and see what's up. And then, remember, guys, there's the raffle to play versus Lothar.
That's
I
me.
want to say play versus Lothab.
Yeah, that's common, mistake.
Is Lothab like your ugly evil twin? When you were the one beautiful guy?
Oh my God, I don't know how to reply to
so
that,
is
you
this
know?
like
I'm just quoting-
is this like a world balance discussion where because you're so good looking, Lothar, there needs to be an alternate version that's
I'm blushing now. No homo PNG, right?
Kappa Pride.
Yeah, but let's focus on the winner of this game, who is advancing to
Where is he? Where is
day
he?
2, right? Thijs, come here. Rescue me from
where is he?
those guys here.
This situation.
Yeah, he's coming here.
Oh, he's coming.
Um,
They're discussing the matchups probably. I actually wanted to ask GameKing why did he queue Paladin instead of Patron, but in the end, like, both decks actually lost anyway.
Yeah, we'll see. Thijs will be coming here. Come on, man.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing, man? I'm guessing you're pretty happy
Yeah,
with the
well,
outcome.
I have felt worse, but I'm doing pretty good now. Yeah, not really.
Well,
I
you
think.
started the day with a 0-7 score on ladder, right?
Yeah, let's not talk too much about that. I do,
Instant regret in telling you about that.
well, I think I just I peak at the right moment, I guess.
So the moment where you implosion for 4.
Yeah, well, I don't know how important it was. I think if it was 3, it was also decent. But yeah, if it was the only 2, but I had no other option there.
Yeah, of course.
I had a really dead hand. I didn't want to play Knife Jiggler, and yeah, just. Sometimes you just have to hope that it. But I think if it whole World 3, it was fine, and he couldn't go for the win anyway because it killed off his own minions. So.
So for you specifically, which was the best game, like overall? You play versus Priest, you play versus Paladin, and versus Patron.
I like the game against Priest the most, I think, because people really, think that it is really favored for the Priest, and I think it is a bit favored. But if you know a bit like what is in the deck, and if you know what to play around, and they don't run that many minions at all, you just have to make sure that for the minions, and picking up a corruption is always, it's like insta-pick against Priest if you can pick it, and that really helped me.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the corruption pick from the peddler, we were talking about it. The second it came up, it was like, that's a good card versus
Even if
Deathlord.
it's not at turn 3, it will always find some value. So
Yeah, that's true.
So you are passably qualified for tomorrow with a 3-0 win. Like, even if you lose the next games, you are probably qualified. Are you going to just chill and just throw the games away?
no.
So you're
No,
going for the
it's-
5-0 score?
Yeah, I will do my best, and not even just for myself to get a good tiebreaker, but also for the other players that are playing. For some people, my tiebreaker matters, and
that's true.
I think it's always fair to in Swiss that you play all your rounds the best as you can.
So
And to play for that sweet Gosu Gamers points.
Oh, obviously,
yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, right?
I need them.
So if you face an opponent in round 5 and if he wins versus you, he qualifies, you will still play your best out of respect
Yeah,
and
I
defeat
will.
them and eliminate them
And
out
if
of
he-
tournament
yeah.
out of respect.
Yeah, well, and
Nice guy Thijs,
but I think
obviously.
it's also cool. Like your opponents also want that you play your best. And,
Yeah, that's
like in Swiss, I have been at other spots too, where it like really matters sometimes that one win, and you should always give everything you have.
So is there anyone you want to face specifically, like just to play, maybe hang out?
Um, I would like to. No, I don't really have like a specific one.
Just lineups. You have
I actually don't really know what all the lineups are. I hope I face something else than Druid Paladin Warlock. It was like my first 2 series. This one was already really cool with Priest and.
Well, we saw the
Yeah.
statistics. There are 24 players bringing Druid, 18 players bringing Paladin, and 2 players bringing Rogue, 0
Yeah.
players bringing Hunter.
no hunters, yeah.
Zero Hunter and
Zero Hunters.
Oh, I was really long considering Rogue, but I don't know if Druid it can work here really well. But everybody has Zoo, everybody has Paladin too, so it's really still tricky to bring Druid.
And what does it mean for you to be here? You qualified again. This is one another tournament you qualified, and you're the previous champion of the of one of the DreamHack Bucharest in Bucharest. So and also European champion. So being here, does it give you like more pride, or how do you feel about it?
A bit maybe. I think because this is like it was all qualified from the start, and just showing that you can also that I play qualifiers sometimes and that I can also show my best in these qualifiers. This is how I started with the early cups in Hearthstone with the King of the Hills. Like this is how it started for me, and I think it's like a perfect also opportunity for new players to get into the scene. And I'm also happy to just show that I can do it this way.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Great. Raven, Lothar?
I'm good.
I'm just proud.
We're all proud.
Okay. I think that's it, right?
All right. So we still have a backup match for you guys. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in the next match in just a moment. Right now we'll go into a short break and prepare it and be back in just a couple of minutes. So give us some time.